Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to Fewnilla County. We're back. And last time out we put in our European area with our big stadium, and I have given them a name thanks to your suggestions for that. So we've gone for Fewrope from Dave Ullman. Love it. Absolutely love it as always, Dave. Thank you so much for that. And we have gone for the Castle Stadium from BC, because of course this would have been a location where an old castle sat once upon a time on this little mound hill area overlooking the downtown and the train station. So great suggestions from everyone there, but thank you BC and Dave Ullman in particular for those two. So today we're going to be working on our Olympic Village to complement the stadium area that we put in last time. So another thanks to Migo over on the Discord for the idea of an Olympic stadium in this place. I absolutely love that. And we're going to actually use another stadium from the Sports Stadiums pack, the Glass Eye Arena, as the centrepiece for this, because I feel like this is a big, old, grand stadium that definitely could be front and centre in the middle of an Olympic Village. The type of thing that's very design heavy that countries might actually build as part of an Olympic development plan. So I really feel like this would fit in nicely as the kind of key centre focal point. But before we actually dive into that, I do just want to take a little look at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in London. So we have this 3D model thanks to sketchfab.com and PJAR for creating this, but yeah, this is the Olympic Park in London with the main stadium there that we're going to use the Glass Eye Arena for. We've also got the Olympic Tower. I'm kind of interested in trying to maybe do something, obviously not the same as that because that's impossible in Vanilla City Skylines, but something along those lines. Maybe the amusement park tower would go quite well there. But the biggest thing I kind of noticed here was how much green space there is around it. Like, they're not cramming in loads of buildings, loads of different sports fields or that sort of thing. We do obviously have a little football pitch over here. We've got, I think that was the cycling velodrome, I want to say, over this side as well. There's still development going on around it, of course, too. But there's just lots of green space, with some nice park path designs around here, lots of trees. We've obviously got this nice river flowing through it as well, which we don't have where we're situated, but we do have a raised highway. And we also have the sunken train track, so we can kind of use those to play with a little bit around the outsides, I think, as well. So let's start by getting this stadium in place, and what I would like is a road kind of running straight up here that we're going to put it on, and then we'll frame it off with a road frame all the way around it, because it's a super interestingly shaped stadium, I think. So I think we can kind of work with that and play with that a little bit. I do want to make sure that we're leaving enough space this side for another stadium though, and that would be the one from the Campus DLC, the Aquatic Centre. I feel like this is a great complement to the big Glass Eye Arena that we have here, so I think that could probably sit in there. And I'm also noticing now we've put it in, we do have some terrain tearing issues, so let's just do a little bit of flattening and smoothing before we actually come onto this. And I've totally forgotten how to play Vanilla CS1, so yeah, we'll get there eventually. There we go. So yeah, I think we can just flatten this off all the way around here, hoping that's going to be on roughly the same level. That's not too bad. And we will flatten off a little bit more space around this side too, just so we can play with that. So something like that is not too bad. And then what we want to try and do is frame this stadium, like I said. So we want to try and get as close to the edges as we can. And there is a snap point there, which doesn't look too super symmetrical. I think this road hasn't come far enough, so let's come out of there. And then we can go across there nicely. So that's pretty good as the framing. I'm quite content to keep the little diagonal corner in here. I think that is fine. And then we could just move up our aquatic centre. We could do that orientation actually. Let's do that, because then we can do something with the back of it rather than it being faced out towards the highway. Although if we put it this way, we've got a little bit more space to play with at the back. Yeah, I think that's a bit nicer. We'll go for that. And then we could do some nice green park space like we saw around here. And then we do want to connect it into the road up this side. So I'm hoping we can kind of find the midpoint here, which is right there, and bring that road in. It's not too bumpy actually. That's quite all right coming into there. So definitely car parking. You guys were screaming at me in the last episode for not putting in any parking for our large castle stadium over here. So I will rectify that, and we'll have a whole load of parking, I think, in this space. So let's turn on our snap to road length here again, and let's go into our car parks, and we can place a few into here. So we want to get this really nicely backing onto this one, which is going to be hard with this road here. So let's actually just delete that out and redraw it. Yes, so we get a nicer grid, which is sometimes necessary. And we can come back into our car parks, add more in there. We can just fit one in this side as well, which is pretty good there. So I've just realised this car park is particularly slopey. So perhaps we can do a tiny bit more smoothing here, just to level that off a little bit more. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. So I think that car park's a little bit big for this space. Have we got an alternative we could use? What would happen, I'm curious now, if we used our Railroads of Japan car park? Would that level the terrain? Ooh, it has a retaining wall. It has a retaining wall on it. That is that's quite exciting. So that does stay level, although it's horrendous on the terrain right there. Can we fix that at all? Probably not. But I'm going to give it another go of placing this in to see. No, yeah, that's that is definitely not loving that. What if we place it in the middle? We can see actually where the terrain is cutting through it, which is really, really frustrating. So we could potentially do this one here with that very sharp wall. We might need a little safety barrier or something of that description. And then instead of this road going quite that far, let's bring it out so that we can frame off a small car park in the middle here. And actually we could test and see if that helps. No, it doesn't. It definitely doesn't help. And neither does that one. So let's go back to our vanilla car parks. And yes, we'll just have the one in there. Now, of course, I'm realising as well, with these being car parks, I don't want people parking in front of them. So let's definitely remove all of the parking on the road here. I think we could have a tree-lined road coming into the complex. I think that would be quite nice. Maybe we actually run that as grass-lined all the way around there, because I'm thinking at this point we probably convert it into pedestrian roads. So let's grab our one without parking and see if we can just connect this under the highway. Are we tall enough here at all? We are not. So that's probably because I have raised up the terrain quite a bit. So if we actually just bring this back down a second, I'm wondering if we can now get out through here. We still can't, but we can through there. So let's come out in this direction. So we'll convert it into a road from here, yes, and then we can come straight out the other side, which just provides that little bit of extra connectivity for the Olympic Village area into whatever we decide to build out this side. Yeah, I do think that we keep this as the only road area and the rest of them move to pedestrian roads. So let's go ahead and do that, and we can kind of, I think we'll keep a grass border on it so it's a little bit more fancy. And we'll wrap this all the way around the stadium here. Of course, we're going to need a pedestrian area. That's not a problem. And I've realised as well that we haven't used the city archway in Fewnilla County. So actually, instead of having that car park in here, I wouldn't mind trying to get this in, which I think would be a really nice little entranceway into our Olympic Village. So I'm curious now if we can fit the large car park on this side. We can't. So I think we'll make do with that amount of car parking. We could always have a multi-storey maybe over this side. I feel like multi-storey probably would be needed within this complex. So maybe it is actually somewhere over here. Okay, so change of plan. Let's upgrade this bit of road to a non-pedestrian road as well. And then we'll bring out a little extra bit here, which I'll change up in just a second, which can support this multi-storey. Yeah, so like that. That would work fine. And I'm curious if we can actually just trim back this road a little bit so it's not quite so far sticking out over the end there. Yeah, so we can like that. So that actually fits quite nicely. So there's car parking on both sides of the entranceway there. And then that'll be the extent of the road network for this side. And we'll have some more roads coming in from over here as well. So we do need a pedestrian area, which also means we're going to need a service point in here too. So I'm wondering if we can kind of tuck this away somewhere at the back so it's not too noticeable. Perhaps on this corner would be quite nice if that can go in. That does not look that does not look straight now that we have upgraded that. So maybe a little bit of fiddling needed there. But for now that'll be okay, and then we can just extend this all the way around this area like that, and then hopefully those buildings will no longer complain. So before we get too much further completing our Olympic Park, I do just want to address the subject of transport, because I think that's going to be quite an important one. Now I've realised if we go to Metro and we actually see underground, we have this unused Metro line sticking out of here. So I think it'd be really good to add in a metro stop, which is going to allow a high volume of people to travel to and from the Olympic Village area. And I'm thinking it's probably something quite large and prominent. So I was tempted to go for this Railroads of Japan modern metro terminal for this. And we could place it quite nicely somewhere around here. Something like that perhaps, because then we can still, I think, and let's get rid of the white screen, fit in a road down the side of it. So let's go back to our pedestrian roads. Yeah, we can, to run down the side of it there. So it just sort of frames it off in that corner and leaves us a little bit of space for a plaza potentially here. If we take a look at what options we still have, we do have the Statue of Wealth, we've got the Plaza of the Dead. Statue of Wealth does just about fit in there actually. We could probably do a tiny bit of terraforming to make that work. In fact, actually, it's fine. So I think the way that sits on the corner, that's a must-have in here. Let's actually just spin it round though, so it's facing towards this triangle here. We could do something nice with a bit of detailing, I think, there. Of course, we do also now have the Mountain Village asset pack. And the other thing I think would be pretty cool in an Olympic Village area is a stage, which this one has, as far as I'm aware, somewhere. I think it's in parks, actually. Mountain stage, yes it does. So I absolutely definitely want to have this somewhere. Now it does need to be placed roadside, so that's a little bit frustrating. I was wondering if we could create a little area for it there, but I kind of feel like the best backdrop for it would be the actual downtown skyline, or indeed the Olympic Stadium, one of those two things. So perhaps actually this would be the best place for the stage. I'm going to change my mind here. Oh, that was costly. Let's remove the Statue of Wealth. So we put this in here, then what we can do is actually detail out a wider area where people could stand to watch whatever's happening on the stage, which I think would be pretty cool. Like, what else do we have that we could potentially use? Open air restaurant. I'm not sure the rest of it necessarily fits the theme that we're going to go for here. We do have a mountain buffet. That could be kind of cool as a selection of restaurants probably along here or along this way. I think a little bit of shopping would be needed there. So let's pop this in for the moment, because I think we can utilise that as a little restaurant or something outside of the main stadium itself. And the other thing, of course, remembering back to the little view that we had of the Olympic Village in London, was a tower. Now this is kind of the only option that I could really think of, but we could have this on the edge of the stage area. And that would be quite a nice view over the stadium, over the aquatic centre. That almost looks like it could be a sports hall in itself as well, actually, the Metro Centre. And of course the Castle Stadium views into the downtown is quite prominent, actually, from up here. The annoying thing is the decals on the bottom of it, but potentially we can overlook that. I'm not sure I want to start making a full-on fun fair here, so we won't add the wheel as well. That would be... It is tempting, though. It is tempting. It could be something outside the front of the aquatic centre, actually. I'm gonna say I didn't want to go OTT, but I'm gonna try it. I feel like that might be quite a cool place, because as well, when you're on the raised highway, you're gonna go past this with the aquatic centre, the downtown in the background, stadium, the thousands of planes all flying into Fewnilla's airport. That might be quite cool, so we'll pop it there for the moment and we'll tidy that up in a second. Of course, we also want to get in some sports fields for training grounds, for athletes and that sort of thing. So I think a couple of football pitches over here would be quite nice, potentially back to back. So let's go back and grab our pedestrian road and we'll just tidy this up so that it's going to sit nice and snug around the asset here. So we can come up to there and create a ring around. And then we could probably use some airport apron. I'm hoping it will go over the metro here to tidy that up, which it will. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So let's place that one in there and another one on that corner just to tidy that up around there. Let's go back and grab a second football field because those paths will connect really nicely around there too. So that's good. And then we could also potentially, I quite like cricket in here. So we do have the community cricket pitch. It's quite big. And we have the slightly smaller suburban cricket pitch as well. Might have to have a think about that because I'm really keen to get some housing in here as part of the Olympic Village down this side. I don't think we need another stadium. I think that's plenty. So yeah, let's go ahead and yeah, we'll have the cricket pitch there. Why not? Why not? And I think with this, before we come on to the actual Olympic Village area, let's just smooth off this landscape around here because I don't want such a sudden drop off, I don't think, around this side. So we kind of smooth it up to the highway way because we're not going to have any other roads, I don't think, connecting through here. We've got this one. We'll definitely connect onto this collector down the bottom here. So I think that that will be okay. And then if we push this back up, we can create a bit of a kind of cliffside. And it's a shame we don't have network anarchy to be able to cheese in some keys here. I'm not sure I have the patience to do the same trick that we did around the castle by flooding the entire city again. Maybe we should, but for the moment I'm gonna work around it, I think. Let's just clear out these trees though. Because I think what we can do here instead is actually the trick that we used all the way back in the Michael W. fishing harbour, yes, over here, with the decals. So we could do that, which makes kind of a semi-looking retaining wall type thing, or definitely more man-made and a little bit nicer than the dark texture that we have on the cliffs naturally. So I think we can utilise that technique to add this into here. Now, is that too steep? I think that's okay. So I think down this bottom bit, we will convert it back into roads for this. So let's have a connection that's going to come into the area from here. And then I think what we'll do is we'll actually split it off in either direction so that we can create a bit of a block and have some residential areas, like a sort of Olympic Village type area around the bottom here. And this path can definitely connect into that. So let's come across something like that. And then I think in the middle, we'll have 2 extra road connections and leave a little space in there because we could definitely create a kind of communal area in there. And I'm actually thinking that is the perfect size for a plaza. We could use the Zoo Plaza for this, which I haven't used for quite a while. Add some nice green space, a little bit of a nicer colour than the main Park Plaza, which is very grey. Yeah, I think that will work nicely, and then we can work some residences in around this. Now this road is going to need a little bit of adjusting because it's definitely not coming up into that space as neatly as we'd like. So let's go back, and then can we actually send it diagonally down here to meet up perhaps with this one? So something like that. That's a little bit nicer actually, I think. And again, creates a little bit more interest in the sort of the grid pattern that we've got going on here. So for the Olympic Village, I am thinking of using something that we haven't actually unbelievably used yet in Fewnilla County, which is the wall-to-wall assets. So I think that would be quite nice in here. They're very modern looking, so it would look like they're newly built into the city, into this space, for the purpose of the Fewnilla County Olympics, whatever we're calling it, the 2024 Fewnilla County Games. So of course for that we need to put on the specialisation into here, and we can go ahead and start zoning some up. We're going to get some odd shapes annoyingly in here, but let's see what we get for now. And then we can see if we want to run with it. I'm actually curious if we leave a little bit of a gap in between some of the buildings, will we get a slightly nicer look? So if we go like that, potentially in those spaces, this would be good as a larger block. So let's actually turn off the zoning on this road here. And oh yes, we'll need to turn it off on here as well. So let's do that. And then yes, we get a nice 4 block in here. We could actually even extend that road on a little bit so that we get a little bit more housing into this area. But of course we'll want zoning on that one. And let's have a larger block there, another 3 there. I think we could go for a 3x3 behind this side. Now these are going to be much more tricky, so I think we will just run some zoning all the way around the outside. It's very annoying, it's kind of broken like that. And in fact, actually on this road, we can control that a little bit if we turn off the zoning on that side. Which doesn't seem to do it. It seems to be on the opposite side all of a sudden. Is that just me? Yeah, so that'll fill that in a little better. Then we can definitely have some zoning along here too. Something like that. They are kind of cute wall to wall. I'm thinking we'll keep them wall to wall down this end and then go for more of that sort of condo approach over here with some gaps in between them. So let's get rid of that zoning there, that one there, and then they can feel a little bit more spaced out. I think that'll be nice. Just by consideration that we need to check noise levels here. Okay, it's not too bad. These guys might suffer a little bit, but the rest of them should be okay. But that does also remind me as well, I think it would be quite appropriate to add some sort of security or medical facilities into the Olympic Park itself. So let's actually just extend this road down here. So we could actually, because they're so small and lovely, utilise some of our mountain village assets for this. That's a very, very small little health centre, which could actually go down with the athletes village. Could we sit it on this road here? That's not too bad. Do we also have a firehouse, I think? Which again can sit down there. That's quite nice. And a police station. Do we want to use all the mountain villages for this? I kind of feel like it has a very certain style to it, which may not be the optimum thing potentially for an Olympic village, but it does sort of look kind of modern construction actually. So I think that would be quite nice. And that also reminds me, it would be good to get some hotels in here. I have been constantly reminded that we're not doing enough with hotels, so let's do something with it. And unfortunately, kind of probably some of the ones that I might want to use around here, like the City Hotel, aren't available because we have neglected hotels so badly in Fewnilla County. We do have the Old Inn. I'm not convinced this is necessarily what we want in the Olympic Park, but I'm going to go with a little bit of lore here. If we place it on this main road, because this is all green, it looks like it works really, really nicely for it. So let's do that. This could be so the owners of the Old Inn didn't want to sell up and move when the council or whoever it was, the Fewnilla County authorities, decided to buy out this area to create the Olympic Village. They point blank refused to sell, so we still have the Old Inn sat here now. That's what I'm going to say, because it is really quite out of place, I will admit that. But hopefully that's a good spot for it. If we have a look at the ratings, need a little bit of shopping and a little bit of nature. Nature will be easy because we're definitely going to add a lot of green space in around here. Shopping can be relatively easily overcome as well, because I think what I would like to do, like I mentioned, is actually add in maybe some mall assets over here. So what we're going to want for that is a district in here. So we could come out something like that just for this very small section. So let's choose shopping malls. There we are. And then we'll come back in and let's do just a little bit of zoning along here. Now again, this road I probably want to remove. Oh goodness, I'm gonna guess that we have a match on or something like that. Oh, we need to hook up the metro. I'm getting too excited building out my park that I'm forgetting the little things that I should have done already, like hooking up the metro. So let's definitely go back and do that in a second. We can have a row of shops there, and then we can have a row of shops over here as well. That road is so wonky. I'm wondering if we can actually fix this. Let's just pause the game quickly. Yeah, that looks a lot better. However, we've now put that in without any zoning on it. Wonderful. So let's just change that back. And now we can fit a really nice row of the mall shops in here too, and a few little extra ones next to our restaurant up to there. I'm thinking we continue this on probably up to the tower, and that will hopefully make that slightly less obvious, and then we'll have some nice open space there. Green areas around the outside and around here. Yeah, I think that will be good. We do also, I'm just thinking, have the medical building, the gym sports hall, which could be another good feature to add. It's just a case of where at this point. So up next to the aquatic centre could be a good location for that, and then we've still got space to run pathways around there for a bit of green space across that side. So now how's our wall-to-wall looking? Patchy, to say the least. Very, very patchy. I think what we'll probably do is extend this out into this little area as well here, so that it's all kind of encapsulated with the wall-to-wall buildings down this side, although I feel like a little bit of height might be quite nice here, although we don't want to take away from the Majesty building that we do have in crammed in town, of course. But okay, I think for now that's going to be good. We could also add tennis courts and basketball courts, but they have so many trees around them, I'm a little bit reluctant to do that, so I think we'll leave it as those green fields. But yeah, let's just go back to our hotel. I'm wondering if there is any other ones that would sit really nicely in this particular district. So not the budget hotel. The town hostel is a good sightseeing one. So could we... Oh, it's small as well, actually. We could sit this on this corner here. Again, I feel like it's going to look very out of place in and amongst the mall assets. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it works. It could come out this side. A little bit of height next to the highway, potentially. I may debate and change that as we see fit going on. Yeah, none of the others are really working for this area. It's just the old-fashioned looking ones which probably don't fit the vibe. But never mind. Okay, the metro, let's not forget about that. I think I'm just going to run it alongside here, and then we're going to bend on through Europe to get a nice connection round into the station. And then we can go ahead and add a new line. Finally making use of this metro line. I'm going to start from here because I don't know which platform it is. There we go. And then back to there. And that will create a nice shuttle from the main central transport hub in Fewnilla County out to our Olympic Park. So that should help traffic a little bit. We also do have trams up here, which I think we already have a stop, don't we? We do not. We do not have a stop here, so we definitely want to add that as well. Let's just drag to add a stop right outside the Olympic Village. And then, of course, we're going to want some pedestrian access to this, so let's grab a path. So I think rather than having too many pedestrians crossing this road, let's actually bring a bridge across here, and we can provide bridge access down into the complex. Again, this will mean as well that it doesn't take away from our lovely city arch that we have there too. So we can just come straight across like that into there. And if we go a little bit further with this one, we can bring this back down to ground level, and that'll meet up nicely with our station over here. So we can just line that up a little bit. And the stop's right there. Yes, that's okay. They can cross over the pedestrian crossing to come out to the other side. What I might do for this station though is actually line this one with a bit of pathing this side too. And let's actually bring this section all the way up to that same level so that it's nice and equal there. And we can do a bit of detailing around that as well. There's our nice little tram stop there. So that's 2 methods of public transport now complete. I'm thinking these traffic lights are holding things up here as well. So let's go ahead and remove those like that. And that will hopefully keep that traffic flowing a little bit easier. So yeah, there's pedestrian access all the way around, apart from the village down this end, which doesn't have any car parking, I have just realised, although they can park on the street, so I guess that's okay. And we need to keep an eye on some of these assets. We might want to be a little bit more selective about certain ones that come through. I think this will be quite a cute space, particularly with those plazas in the middle, and a bit of greenery and detailing around the outside. Oh, we do have this path too. So let's hook this in like that, and then people can get all the way across from this stadium into the Olympic Village as well. We also probably, thinking about it, want a connection from over here to get into the Olympic Village. So let's just come up a tiny bit. And can we cross over like that? We can. And then we can just bring that back down there. I've used one of the university paths for this, so we get those slightly nicer railings, which I really like. And I think actually let's upgrade this one to this same style because it's a little bit more fancy and a bit nicer, although we now can't do this section. Wonderful. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that just looks a lot better, that pedestrian bridge. I am slightly worried that we've got too much shopping over here. Our hotel's obviously happy with it. I've actually upped the price a little bit. But I feel like we're overcrowding the stadium a little bit versus what we saw for the London Olympic Park. So I'm a little bit nervous about this, particularly this row here. I'm kind of thinking, actually, let's de-zone this section. We'll remove those. And let's perhaps move this one up to this end here. So it's more in line with those shops, and then we can create a bit more green space right in front of the stadium here, so you're not walking out onto this kind of row of shopping mall areas right there. I might even remove those as well. When I come to do the detailing, I'll see how I feel about that, and if we need to do that, then we will. So we've got a lot of tidying and finishing up to do, but let's jump into it now. Okay, so we have our Olympic Park in, and it's come out pretty nice. Like, I'm really loving these views down to the downtown in particular. When you come into this stadium, you can get a little sneaky peeky shot, and let me show you what it's like at night time as well, which is something I very rarely do. Oh, yes, you can just see those towers from inside the stadium. Love that. And you can see our city as a whole at night time as well is really filling out in this map actually. But I'm really loving the colours. You can see the red in amongst the stadiums, the lights of the theme park over here as well. We have a little look at the view from over here. You can see the dome. And also that dome is pretty prominent from a lot of places in the city as well. So if I just take it back to daytime, we come all the way back to Tyler, right to the start. You can see that dome kind of sticking up. If you're a little bit higher than street level, I suppose, but as you come around this corner, can you start to see it? No, not from street level. Okay, but it's there. It's there in the background because it is on slightly raised land along with the castle stadium as well. So I think it works pretty well. And I probably haven't left as much green space maybe as the Olympic Village in London, but I'm in particular really like this bit too. I put in these little mountain village benches and they get a wonderful view out over the theme park, the Olympic Village in the front there, and then onto the downtown. Really liking that. And the decals here have been a little bit dodgy because it's a bit curved. It's funny to put in, but it still kind of works quite nicely, I think, as an alternative way to do a retaining wall in vanilla city skylines. Also our Olympic Village down here, not too bad. There's a few kind of little blank gaps the way vanilla buildings just spawn in, but I'm quite liking it. I am also liking the separation. That was a great tip from someone in the previous comments. I can't remember who, but thank you. You know who you are. Thank you very much. Absolutely appreciate that tip. We've got people using all of our sports grounds. We've also got people using the bridges as well, so you can see here that one and then this one also getting quite a decent amount of use. Our metro's also getting nicely used too, so we had 117 people last week. It's not super busy, but it's not too shabby. We've got people walking everywhere, which I love. Just did a little food court plaza design here for the central area around the stage, which I thought could be a kind of temporary stage and taken down, obviously when not needed. And then we've got another green grassy open space to look out over the downtown from here. I did add a little bit of extra service decals in from the Parklife DLC just to frame around this tower, which actually I think helps those decals to blend it in a little bit better. So I'm not too worried about that. And then I did add in a cafe. Obviously we removed some of the shops from around here, but these ones have stayed in with the Malls DLC. I don't mind that. I think that's quite nice and amongst the car park over here. And we just did a little bit of work on the entrance. Our hotel as well is doing pretty well, so it's up to a rating of 91%. Not too shabby at all. We're making some profit. I could actually probably raise that up a bit more. Let's go full hog. Why not? See if that puts anyone. And then we've got our little tram stop down here, which is getting a nice amount of use too over the pedestrian footbridge. Really glad we didn't connect this up. I think that would have been an error, having so many people walking across this road as the traffic's coming in and out of the Olympic Park. So yeah, very pleased with how that looked. And we managed to squeeze in some of these props. It was a little bit tricky in between the path and the tram track, but we made it. This corner's still very dodgy. Might need to do something with that. But aside from that, I think that's pretty much it. Then this little plaza down here where I did some path work just to decorate it up. It's a little bit random. I wanted to do some curvy designs, but it turns out there's not very much space here, so it didn't really work. But I think again the red helps to detract from the horrendous tiles around the big wheel there. So yeah, there we go. That is our Olympic Village, and yeah, pretty pleased with that. Really like how it sits in and amongst the downtown here. And from the top-down view as well, it feels pretty seamless once we've got all this all built up around here. I think we definitely need some more high density, so I think a nice transition away from the European into a bit more high, into this medium density of Brooklyn and Queens that we've got down here would be pretty nice for this area. I definitely want to fit in Mountain Village somewhere too as well. I'm thinking maybe a makeshift ski slope up on this mountainside. Let me know what you think of that, or if you've got any other ideas for how we could use Mountain Village in Fewnilla County. Pretty pleased with our Olympic Village. Thank you again to Migo for that idea. Wonderful stuff. And keep those ideas coming in the comments below. But for today, that is going to be it. So if you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. There will be more Fewnilla County very soon. The wait won't be as long next time. But that is all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye!